Hello, welcome to this two-part video tutorial where we're going to see together how to create this bottle of wine mockup. It's fully done in vectors except for the label, which contains a bitmap illustration. We will see several examples to create these kind of labels and I will take you through all the process. This is video number 1. In a few days you will have number 2 and we will complete the whole process. If you have any doubts, as usual, leave your questions in the comments below. And if you don't have any doubts, just leave a comment and a like, and you can also send me flowers if you feel especially generous. Let's start. The first thing is showing you my document settings. These are the dimensions, 72 dpi. It says print, but it could be web because I'm not going to print it. So you can just do something like this or whatever you prefer for what you're going to design. Actually, if I think of it, I may do it a bit wider. Something like this. Yeah, I like landscape, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And now I'm going to go on the internet and I found this image of several bottles. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna paste it here. And I'm gonna select one of them, not sure which one, the one I prefer, probably this one, so I can show you how to go about this kind of curvy sides, or even this one. This one is nice. So with the crop tool, I remove the rest. I don't need them. It doesn't have to be a super high quality image. It's just about the shape. So I'm going to lock it there and I'm going to select the pen tool. Also, you can click P on your keyboard to select it. First I'm going to put this line in here right in the middle because, well, obviously this is symmetrical, so I don't need to trace the whole thing. I can just trace half of the bottle and then duplicate it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. When I trace, initially, I like to have a highlighted color so I can see where I am. So it can be yellow or red and some thickness to my stroke so I can see what I'm doing. So another thing is, don't start where the curves are. Start better with the straight lines. And so here we have a straight line. I'm going to lay my first node and I'm gonna come up here. I could zoom in a little bit more, but I want you to see what I'm doing. So this is the first segment. Now I'm going to be using this method that I call the dummies method, which is specially thought out for beginners. And it goes about I showed this in very many tutorials and classes. It is about not using this and the handles curving like this, your pen tool. It's about just doing square nodes like so whenever your line is changing. So I'd go until here and probably, until there. Now I will go until here because this curve comes like this and then it changes again. So I'm gonna lay my next sharp node, which is these ones, the square ones, in there, and I'm gonna identify every change in the direction of this path, every change that it makes. I'm gonna keep going like this. There is this thing here. I can just go like this and like this until this line, this guide in there, gonna come down until here, until here, because, well, I could just go like this, but I want to make it a little bit more curvy. It changes dramatically, so I'm gonna come until here, and you see this little circle by the pen tool. That means we're going to close our shape. So we have that there. We're ready with that. Now what we're gonna be doing is pulling with the node tool. The node tool is this one here with the A. We're gonna pull like this. We can also move a bit our nodes just to make things nicer. Now I'm going to select all these. I'm going to click C or grab my corner tool, and I'm going to soften them. See? Perfect. I'm going to do the same with this one here. Pull in like that. Also this one. Pull in like that. And the same here. Can select both of them. No, first it's better to pull a bit so it follows the rounding. Opa, I created a node here. I don't want that. So be careful with that. Okay, so now we have the curve, and now we can soften it a little bit. Probably I'm gonna select first this one. Click C. Soften it. Let's see if I can, yeah, a bit more. And now this one, but just slightly. Just slightly. Something like that. And I'm gonna move it a bit. Now I'm gonna get rid of this guide. I don't need it anymore. And what I'm going to do is selecting this one, Command C, Command V, duplicate, and flip horizontal. Click Shift on your keyboard and move it horizontally, like that. Now you can see it's perfectly adapted to our reference. I'm going to select both shapes, and I'm gonna come here to geometry, and I'm gonna hit add. If for whatever the reason you don't get this line in the middle removed, overlap them a bit and then hit add. Okay, so we have that there. I'm gonna come up here, and because I need to curve it a bit, first thing I'm going to get rid of those nodes I don't need, and I'm gonna pull a bit. And this is done. See how easy it is to get it right. And if it was not that easy for you, it's just a matter of practicing 2 or 3 times and you'll get there. Perfect. Okay, so we have our bottle. I'm going to unlock this, and I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna pull it here. This one, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna lock it so it doesn't move. Now, what will be next is creating the lights and shadows for this bottle. So probably my best bet is creating a shape like this. I mean, I'm not doing it with a lot of love, let's call it, because I want you to see that this is something that after a few times you're gonna get perfectly. Okay, so we have this shape in here, and we're going to fill it with a color. We're going to grab the color picker. I like this color. Let's just fill it like that. Let's just get rid of the stroke. And now what we need to do is getting this one and masking it inside, not like this, but like this. See it? Like this. You're gonna get it in. I'm going to repeat it differently. There's another way you can do it. Selecting this, you get this one in insertion, insert inside selection. Now you copy this one or cut it, Command X. See, this is selected. Now I'm going to paste it, Command V, and see it goes inside. It's exactly doing what I did before manually. It's doing it automatically. I'm telling you this because some people get a hard time getting it right, so you can also do it here. So we have that there. Now we're going to fill the bottle with a color. This is a nice color also, so what did I do here? Let's just grab this color, and we have the color here. Now we can get rid of the stroke. We don't need it anymore. Bang, out. Like that. Very nice. Now I'm gonna give it a transparency like this, because I want to create the highlights, okay? And this is just my reference, so I have it clearly in front of me, but I'm gonna be working here. Again, with this selected, just in case, we're not gonna go out. now when we're tracing, but just to work inside this main container. We are going to select the pen tool again. Now we're going to work inside this container. So we're going to trace over the highlights in the bottle. I recommend you work with a bit more of a zoom. I'm just doing it like this so it's more visible. Now I'm going to apply a bit of a curve in here, so it follows a bit more the shape of it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but just to make it follow the shape of the bottle. I'm going to apply a bit of corner tool here, also maybe a little bit, but very slightly here. I'm gonna do the same for these notes here. I'm gonna position it there. I'm gonna pull down here with the node tool, and I'm going to apply a little bit of corner tool. Okay, so we have this now. Opa. I want it inside, okay? Somehow I deselected the insertion, so I pulled it in to the container, which is this one. So I'm gonna name this thing and I'm gonna call it bottle body or container, doesn't really matter. Now I'm gonna do the other one exactly the same way. In this case, I'm pulling down. You can just do it as we did, like that. Probably I need to move this one a bit. Okay, I think that's good enough. And I'm going to grab, again, I want to pull it inside the body of the bottle. So I'm gonna select this one, Command C. Now I'm going to select the new shape I created, and I'm going to do copy attributes, which is Command Shift V. So it applied the same attributes this one had. So I'm gonna name it highlight left. Okay, so we have that in place. Now I'm going to create these highlights here exactly the same way. And I'm going to create now the area for the label, where the label for the bottle should be. Okay, I'm gonna give it a color. Now, because this is 21, we're not gonna see the opacity. We need to pull it up just to start seeing what we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna pull this one up. Not out, but up, like so. So this one is on top of these other highlights. Something like that. That's good. Now, it doesn't look very realistic so far. So what we're gonna do is applying here and here. Probably I'm gonna do it separately, just with one at the beginning, then I will apply the same attributes to the other shape. So I'm gonna go to Effects, Gaussian Blur. I'm gonna apply a bit, but just a slightly bit of Gaussian Blur. I'm gonna grab also the transparency tool, and I'm just gonna play around to see how it looks. It's a matter of deciding how you want it to look. Probably this one needs to be a little bit more high up. Not too bad. The Gaussian blur is a bit too much. You have to be very careful, because just slightly more than you need will make it look not so good. See, now you can see here that this gradient all over the shape is not exactly what I need, because this should be a little bit harder. There are many ways you could fix this, but I think that the easiest one would be, let's add here and here two nodes. Let's select them and let's say break curve. Now we have it broken, see? Now I'm gonna pull these two up. I'm gonna join these two like so. And now this is independent to this one. And what I can do now is grabbing again the transparency tool. I'm gonna pull downwards And now it looks more like it should, something like that. Okay, so probably I want to do the same for this one. Something like that. Now I'm gonna grab this one, I'm gonna select this one, and I'm going to copy attributes, Command Shift V. Maybe it's a little bit too much for it, so what I'm going to be doing is applying, this is the transparency tool. I just clicked Y in my keyboard so it appeared, and like this. And now I'm going to select this one, copy and paste attributes inside the other shape. And the same for this one, 0.4, something like that, 0.4, no more, 0.3 even. Good, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna change this color because I want something more like this. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to work this area here. Let's go for that. And it's going to be a matter of adding these shadows. So I'm just gonna trace it faster probably. I want it to be straight lines, a little bit more than what I just did. You can just go like this. So I'm gonna put it there. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna pull like this, and I'm gonna put it there. Now I'm going to grab the two of them, come to Effects, Gaussian Blur. In this case, I need a little bit more of Gaussian Blur. And now I see the color, it's fading, so I'm gonna make it darker. And I'm gonna put it there. And yeah, you guessed right, these two need to go inside this one. So I grab them and I pull them inside the curve, the red shape, curve shape. Okay, so now they are inside it and they are not passing above it. That's a good one. I'm going to duplicate say this one, and I'm gonna put it somewhere here, bit darker again, and I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a Gaussian blur, something like that. Because this gets even darker, I'm going to duplicate it again, and I'm gonna reduce a bit the Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna move it to the side in such a way that it covers the whole area that I'm talking about, which would be this here. It's almost an outline. We zoom out and we see the results. Just think of this, if I was working, not recording this tutorial, I would work more accurately and zooming in. But I just want you to see more or less to have an idea what's going on. So I think this is better. And so, because I go explaining, probably you're not gonna get lost. Now we're going to create this in here, but I could do just the same. I mean, I'm gonna grab, not that one, but this one. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to move it. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to reduce the Gaussian blur. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. I need to zoom in, otherwise it would be harder to work. And I'm gonna pull up like so, something like that. I can reduce this so it doesn't get in my way at some point. So I'm gonna put down there this one, I can get rid of it, and these ones I'm gonna pull them down just to keep things tidy. Yeah, this, that's the only reason why I'm doing this. Out. Yeah, so now probably a bit more of Gaussian blur, and Gonna reduce the opacity slightly. Not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. Now I'm going to create the same for these ones. This is the same method, so I'm going to speed it up. One thing that I think it's important is to give the right amount of Gaussian blur and transparency to each one of these shapes. Otherwise it won't look so realistic. Something like that. And the more details, the better. As you can see, wow, where is it? Here, okay. I grab this one, I duplicate it. Now I pull it down slightly. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a reddish color here, like something like this, because I'm doing this highlight here. You can see there. And now I'm gonna zoom in because I'm going blind here. And I'm going to just make it following the shape a bit more, something like that. And there we go. We have that highlight. Probably there's a big gap in here. This is not so much. I'm going to tweak that a bit. Playing again, transparencies, the color wheel, and the Gaussian blur. And that's all the mystery. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, I think that's enough for you to understand what's going on. Good enough. Now, another detail that I see, there is this little gap here where there is no more wine. We're gonna do that too. That's it. Good. We also have these highlights, which I still didn't do. I'm gonna do them now, exactly the same method we used for these highlights here. And actually, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do something different, which is very nice. In order to follow exactly the shape, I'm going to duplicate this. You see it here. I'm going to toggle this. I'm going to get rid of everything that is inside. I'm gonna remove it, you see there. Now I'm going to duplicate this shape. You see now we have two of them. Bang, bang, okay. Now I'm gonna grab the two of them and I'm gonna come up here to geometry and say subtract. You see that there? Now we have this perfect shape. And that perfect shape is gonna be exactly the same as this one, which is going to add an extra layer, let's say, of realism to a product that is industrial and it's not organic and it has to be perfect. So let's just copy these attributes into that shape we just created there. We're going to Command X cut it. We're going to organize our layers here. So a good place to be would be, for example, on top of this one. I mean, on top, not on top of this one, but at the same level. So I'm gonna paste it there. And we see it's inserted inside the main shape. I think it looks fantastic. And because this is symmetrical, I don't need to do this thing again. I just need to, let's just grab them two, copy, duplicate, flip, shift, and move it to the other side of the bottle. Something like this. I'm gonna move it a little bit more. I'm going to reduce a bit the opacity in this one. And I would like to see it a little bit more there. So I have several possibilities. One could be just what we did before. I'm going to add here, see opacity. I'm going to click on the chip and I'm going to add a bit of noise into this shape, just slightly, a bit like that. And I think this bottle so far is almost done. I'm not going to do the reflection. I want to add a shadow. We will see that later. Now that I look at it, probably this is a little bit too rounded here. But anyways, it's done, it's done. Okay, so for the time being, we have the bottle, and what we're going to do next will be the background, how to sit this bottle over a surface, and we will also work a bit in the label, which is something very nice to do. So I see you in the next video in a few days. Bye.